Hey y'all, I'm James Wright. Welcome to my shop. Today, we're talking about this, the Stanley 51. Oh yes! Okay, this is the Stanley 51. It is a shooting board plane, and there are lots of cool features about this. I've wanted this for the longest time, and I finally got my hands on one. Unlike the number one, this actually belongs to me. I actually traded a bunch of tools and some more money to get it. It is a very expensive plane. As a matter of fact, it is the most expensive plane I have in the shop. Aside from the Barnes lathe, this is the most expensive woodworking tool I have in the shop. If you find them in bad condition, the price is usually around $300. A really good condition, they can go upwards of $500. They are a very valuable plane. And unlike the Stanley No. 1, it's not valuable just because it's collectible. Now that does add to the value, but it's also valuable because it is a very, very useful plane. This is the shooting board that I built not that long ago with the Veritas kit, so this allows me to put angles. It also has a guide in here that holds the plane in place and keeps it tight up against the work. I've moved it over now to adjust to that one, but let me give you a little idea. Now, this is white oak. This is an incredibly hard wood to shoot. It is ring porous. It is actually hard. It's just an all-around painful wood to shoot, especially with being this thick, because it's almost the max of what this can cut. So I set this in here, put the work up against it, and it will cut it, but sometimes it just binds, and I find myself having to put more force into it. This plane is rather light. It has a tendency to tip because it has a thin side on here. It works relatively well, but it takes some skill, and even then, it's just not quite the perfect plane for it. This, however, is the perfect plane for it. It is a very heavy, heavy plane. It's got a solid base on here that is very, very thick, and it runs on this. It also traps in this groove perfectly, so when it pops down in there, there is no horizontal movement to this. It is locked in place. The iron on this is actually the standard iron that you would find in a 6, a 5.5, or a 7. So it's just a normal iron, 90 degrees on there. It's not skewed on the iron, but the body is skewed. And with the body being skewed, you actually get a lower angle of cut. With this skew on here, even though this iron is at 45 degrees, you're going to be getting a 35-degree effective cut on this. With a low angle plane, you're shooting at 36 degrees. So yes, you do get one more degree. Does that actually function things? No. But with this handle being a very comfortable angle, rather than holding it on top here, I get a lot more control, and I can very easily and that's 1.5 inch thick white oak. It flies right through that. Some of the softer woods, and you get these gorgeous curls. This is a game changer in how easy it is to work. Now, it's basically a standard plane when you lay it down, except for rather than it being in line, it's just skewed off a little ways. It comes apart exactly the same way. It's the number 6 size iron. There's a frog. All the adjustments on it are exactly the same. The frog connection is a little bit different, and the handle is off at a weird angle, and there's one big side on this. But other than that, it's a fairly standard plane, so it's really not all that standard, but you treat it the exact same way. It goes in very, very similar. Everything locks down on it. And it functions just like that. And all the adjustments are just like a standard plane. It just looks really weird. Now, this is a collectible plane, and there are things about it that in certain conditions it becomes a little more collectible. And that does increase the price. But the price is still right in range with a new one. You can actually get a very similar plane from Veritas. You can get basically the exact same plane from Lie-Nielsen, except for they change up the frog connection. They make a few pieces of brass, makes it a little heavier. But in all function and size and shape, it's the exact same thing. The Veritas one, which is actually the cheapest of the new ones, is actually one of my favorites. Rather than having it a high angle frog, they make it a low angle frog and skewed, so you get an incredibly low angle cut, as well as they make it with an adjustable mouth and a handle that will rotate, as well as Lee Valley offers it in right-handed or left-handed. So if you're left-handed, there you go. But the price for this is pretty close to a new one. So if you really want one of these, go ahead and get a new one. But if you've got a few other planes hanging around and there's someone else who has it and is willing to trade, that's why I can afford this one. Is it worth getting a 51 over a low angle like a 62. And generally, if you're getting into it and you're newer, you're a little strapped for money, this is going to be the cheaper answer. Even the antique 62s are much cheaper than the antique 51s. But you can pick up a Stanley Sweetheart like this for 120, 150 bucks, and it will do you very, very well. It'll do the job. But this is one more step up and really makes everything that much more fun. And you're probably going to see me using the shooting board a lot more because this is more fun, but mostly because I now have it. And because I have it, I have to justify it. So I'm going to use it because this sucker's fun. Now, Stanley also made a metal body shooting board that this would fit into. And if you have both the shooting board and the shooting plane, oh my, those are more expensive than some number ones out there. So yes, it is a collector's piece, but it's one of those collector's pieces that I absolutely love because this is a game changer when it comes to shooting. It feels so much better, it works so much better, it's simple, it just goes. Yes, you can do it with any plane in the shop, and a low angle makes it even easier, but this was designed for this one thing. It's a one-trick pony, and as a one-trick pony, it had better do its job well. It's not a jack plane that's intended to do everything. It is a shooting board plane, and only for that. So, should you run out and get a shooting board plane, a Stanley 51 or one of its lookalikes? No, it's not necessary, it's not needed, but it is needed. But if you find yourself having a lot of problems with shooting boards and they're just not working for you, and you've tried different planes, then this might be the answer for you. But you're gonna need a little bit more money because these suckers ain't cheap. That's one of the reasons why it's taken me over 5 years to get one, even though I've really wanted one for a long time. And one of the reasons why I haven't used shooting boards that much is it's a little frustrating from time. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And when you get into really difficult woods, it's just not as much fun as a freehand shooting. Whereas this is fun no matter what wood you throw at it. So I hope you like this little tool talk. It is more or less me showing off one of my new favorite tools because I've wanted this for years and I finally have one. Yeah, I'm overjoyed if you can't tell, and this is a fun one that you're gonna see in more videos because this is enjoyable. I also think I'm probably gonna be making another shooting board coming up. I know, another shooting board video. I've made several of them over the years, but I want to modify this one a little bit. There's a few things that I like about this, but I'd like to add some other things. And now that I have this in there, I'm intending on using the shooting board a little bit more. I'd actually like making the shooting board a little bit more specific so that it becomes even more fun. Yeah, I know I'm getting into the bells and whistles, and by that time I might be getting into power tools, but really, this is an amazing tool that I am looking forward to using for many, many years to come. If you do want to get one of these antique, if you want to go to handtoolfinder.com, it's a website I have set up so that you can find antique tools all over the world. I have a map of the world with known locations for finding hand tools, as well as a list of trusted online sellers, tool collecting groups, and other things like that. And these tend to pop up from time to time. They're not very common, but when they do, you might want to think about looking at it. If you do have any questions or ideas, thoughts, comments, let me know those down below. I do read through all of them and I answer as many as I can. So I think that'll about do it for today. I do want to say a huge thank you to all the patrons on Patreon, members here on the channel, good friends who are willing to trade me a pile of tools for one hand plane. Thank you for that. It really means more than I can say. Without patrons on Patreon and members here on the channel, this channel would not exist. So thank you. I think that'll do it for today. And until next time, have a wonderful day. Now, I need to create a place to put this somewhere. Would that become Area 51?